Boom. The thunderous roar echoed through the heavens and earth, as Chen Tiangang's figure transformed into a lightning rainbow, streaking straight towards the 9 heavens. The violent and unmatched spiritual energy fluctuation rippled through the entire world. 9 Nether raised her delicate face, her long, cold eyes staring at the lightning rainbow. She then turned to Mu Chun and said, "I'll handle Chen Tiangang, and you take care of the Thunder Devil Legion." Currently, the only force they had capable of standing toe-to-toe with the enemy was the 9 Nether Guard. The rest of the forces were no match for the Thunder Devil Legion. "Leave it to me." Mu Chun nodded lightly. Although Qin Ling had reached the 3rd Grade Supreme, Mu Chun had fortunately broken through to the 2nd Grade Supreme beforehand. With his mastery over battle will, he was confident that he would not be weaker than Qin Ling. "I'll deal with him quickly." 9 Nether gave a slight nod, not delaying further. She lightly stepped forward and appeared on the back of the massive, dark soul sparrow. The giant sparrow let out a long cry, its wings fluttering, summoning a violent wind that swept through the sky. The massive figure became a streak of black light, soaring up towards the distant 9 heavens. Chen Tiangang stood above the 9 heavens, at an altitude of tens of thousands of feet. The fierce gale swept through the air. Only powerful beings like them dared to fight at such a height. With his arms crossed, he looked at the giant netherworld sparrow flapping its wings before him, then at the slender figure on the bird's back. He smiled faintly, tightening his hands. Gray-black lightning flowed across his body like a serpent. Sizzle, sizzle. The lightning flickered as Chen Tiangang's body seemed to expand slightly. Typically, those who cultivated thunder-type spiritual energy had incredibly strong bodies, and Chen Tiangang, like Mu Chun, had also practiced body cultivation. "Your 9 Nether Palace has set its sights on my Thunder Devil sect. You must be blind." Chen Tiangang sneered as he looked at 9 Nether. 9 Nether, however, didn't waste time talking. With a light step of her jade foot, the netherworld sparrow let out a long cry, its wings flapping violently. The surging spiritual energy spread out, transforming into a vast cloud of black feathers, like a torrential rain, rushing towards Chen Tiangang. Petty tricks. Chen Tiangang clenched his palms tightly, and gray-black lightning suddenly erupted from his body, forming a thunderous barrier around him. As soon as the black feathers touched the barrier, they were shattered into light spots and dissipated. "Is that so?" 9 Nether's crimson lips curled into a mocking smile. With a flick of her hand, a burning purple flame feather suddenly appeared from the sea of black feathers, shooting straight into the thunder barrier with a whoosh. This time, the purple flame surged, burning the encircling gray-black lightning to nothing. The feather, sharp as a sword, aimed directly at Chen Tiangang's brow. The sudden, sharp attack made Chen Tiangang's expression change. However, as a 5 Grade Supreme, he was quick to react. He flipped his hand, sending out a palm strike, with lightning swirling in his palm. Boom! The force of his palm collided with the purple flame feather, unleashing a wild surge of spiritual energy. Chen Tiangang's figure flashed, appearing several hundred feet away. He looked down at his scorched palm, his face darkening. "You think this bit of thunder can stop my undying fire?" 9 Nether mocked, her lips curling into a sneer. "Humph." Chen Tiangang snorted coldly. He then slammed his foot down, and in an instant, gray-black lightning surged like an ocean from his body. In just a few breaths, the cloud layer turned into pitch-black thunderclouds. The terrifying spiritual energy fluctuation could be clearly felt even tens of thousands of feet below. When a 5 Grade Supreme truly became enraged, the power was enough to shake the heavens and earth. 9 Nether spun her jade hand, and dark spiritual energy surged from her body. Amid the rolling black waves, purple flames swirled, causing the space itself to twist violently. 2 enormous and terrifying forces filled half of the sky. The collision was like 2 meteors crashing into each other. Their cold gazes met in midair, and in the next moment, the 2 figures shot forward like streaks of light. Behind them, spiritual energy surged, rushing forward like a flood, colliding violently. Boom! Above the 9 heavens, an astonishing spiritual energy storm erupted. Even the fierce gale was shattered in the chaos. The surrounding tens of thousands of feet were filled with the 2 combatants' spiritual energy. Beneath, Countless gazes were focused on the movements in the 9 heavens, and many couldn't help but click their tongues in awe. However, soon some shifted their attention, for both 9 Nether and Chen Tian gang possessed formidable strength, and such a clash would clearly not be easy to resolve. While it was difficult to determine a victor above, the battles below became all the more crucial. The outcome here would directly impact 9 Nether and Chen Tian gang, and in such confrontations, a moment's distraction could easily expose a flaw. The eyes of the crowd shifted to 2 figures standing in front of the 9 Nether Guard and Thunder Devil Legion. Amidst the multitude of gazes, Qin Ling smiled at Mu Chun and said, "Since even the sect master has issued the order, I suppose we can't let you off today." He clearly had confidence, knowing that the Thunder Devil Legion outnumbered the 9 Nether Guard. As for their leaders, his third-grade supreme strength was enough to crush Mu Chun. Adding to that, his brilliant track record leading the Thunder Devil Legion over the years gave him every reason to look down on the newly appointed leader who had only recently gained fame in the Great Luo Heaven Domain. "I just hope the final outcome doesn't disappoint you, Commander Qin Ling," Mu Chun said calmly, smiling in response to his confidence. "Haha, you've got some guts." Qin Ling raised his thumb, and then his lips curled into a cold smile. "But this is what makes it interesting. I hope you won't disappoint me. I can't stand people who just talk a big game." Boom. With those words, Qin Ling stomped his foot, and his figure shot into the air. Behind him, thunder rumbled across the sky as the Thunder Devil Legion immediately turned into a streak of lightning, surging upwards. Mu Chun raised his hand in response. "Mu Chun, be careful." Tang Bing's voice was soft. Qin Ling already possessed third-grade supreme strength, making him stronger than anyone among the 4 great leaders of the Great Luo Heaven Domain. Although individual strength was not always the most important in commanding troops, it still had a significant impact. "I leave it to you," Mu Chun nodded. The battlefield had been divided into 3 sections. 9 Nether and Chen Tian gang had won. The 9 Nether Guard and Thunder Devil Legion were about to clash, and here was the most chaotic area, with multiple forces on both sides trying to restrain each other. "Don't worry, they won't interfere with you." Tang Bing smiled confidently, showing no sign of concern. During these past few days, she had communicated with many forces from the Great Luo Heaven Domain, and once the chaos began, she would temporarily take control of the situation. Seeing the confident smile on the girl's face, Mu Chun said no more. His hand fell decisively, his eyes turning sharp. 9 Nether Guard, move out." "Yes." A resounding roar rang out, and the 9 Nether Guard immediately surged into the sky like a dark cloud, appearing before the Thunder Devil Legion with overwhelming battle intent. Mu Chun moved swiftly, appearing above the 9 Nether Guard, where the immense 9 Nether battle intent gathered around him like a vast black ocean. Qin Ling watched Mu Chun with indifference, then raised his hand. A cold voice echoed, "Thunder Devil battle intent." Behind him, under the gray-black iron armor of the Thunder Devil Legion, a series of furious eyes appeared. A low, thunderous growl sounded as the Legion prepared for battle. Boom. The skies erupted in thunder as countless gray-black battle intents surged upwards like thunder serpents, colliding behind Qin Ling. The sight was magnificent and awe-inspiring. "I'm curious to see what makes the 9 Nether leader, who's been causing a stir in the Great Luo Heaven Domain lately, so impressive." Qin Ling smiled. He then extended 2 fingers, pointed them at Mu Chun, and gently pressed down. Boom. A massive bolt of thunderous battle intent, like an enraged dragon, shot forth. The brilliant explosion of light caused countless gazes to turn toward the scene. The thunderous battle intent swept toward the 9 Nether Guard. In a flash, it was upon them. However, just as it was about to strike, a dark battle intent surged forward, transforming into a feather plume shield. Boom. This scene made countless powerful experts from both sides below slightly squint their eyes, as the scale clearly showed that the Thunder Devil Legion had the upper hand, and their battle intent appeared even more violent. However, the attacks from their side were effortlessly blocked by the 9 Nether Guards. Impressive. I had heard that Commander Mu Chun defeated 5,000 Blood Eagle Guards with just 1,009 Nether Guards. Seeing it today, the rumors are indeed true. It seems that Commander Mu Chen's understanding and control of battle intent far exceed those of other commanders. On the side of the great Luo Heaven domain, many experts couldn't help but exclaim, and then their worries eased. After all, they had been concerned that if Mu Chen were to lose, 9 Nether would be distracted, and if 9 Nether faltered, their side would undoubtedly suffer a massive defeat. Boom. In the sky, Mu Chen calmly watched the dissipating thunder, then looked up, his black eyes locking onto Qin Ling deep within his gaze. A sharp, blade-like intensity began to rise. Today, I'll show you who will annihilate whom. His hands suddenly formed a seal, and in the next instant, the vast 9 Nether battle intent surged at a maddening speed. Within a few breaths, the sky darkened, and even the violent thunderclaps were suppressed. The usually calm Mu Chen finally began to reveal a fierce expression. A golden lightning force field spread across the sky, enveloping the area. Mu Chen gazed at the force field, but to Qin Ling's surprise, there was little panic on his youthful face. Trying to interfere with battle intent, Mu Chen chuckled, lifting his head to lock eyes with Qin Ling, who stood with his arms crossed. Coldness flashed in his eyes. In a sense, Qin Ling's actions were exactly what Mu Chen wanted. Although Mu Chen had the advantage in controlling and comprehending battle intent, the 9 Nether Guards were still relatively weak, and the Thunder Devil Legion was no ordinary group. So, if it were solely a battle of 9 Nether battle intent, Mu Chen didn't have absolute confidence in winning. At best, it would be a pointless struggle. But once both sides lost their battle intent, they would revert to their true forms. While others might think that revealing their true forms would be disastrous for Mu Chen, after all, he was only a 2nd grade supreme, while Qin Ling was a 3rd grade supreme. The reality was that Mu Chen's chances of victory actually increased in such a scenario. With the Thunder Devil Legion backing him, Qin Ling would be a tough challenge. But now, without that protective layer, Qin Ling's danger level in Mu Chen's mind had drastically decreased. It seems you're quite calm. Qin Ling floated in midair, arms crossed, gray-black lightning flashing around him. Behind him, spatial fluctuations were visible, and the overwhelming pressure of spiritual energy seemed to bring forth a vast ocean, enveloping the world. Thunder Demon Body. Qin Ling smiled. Then his expression suddenly turned cold, and he formed a seal with both hands. His body began to expand at an astonishing speed, his skin turning as dark as iron, with veins bulging like coiled dragons beneath the surface. In just a dozen breaths, Qin Ling transformed into a towering figure with dark skin, surrounded by swirling gray lightning. A sense of unparalleled strength radiated from him, clearly indicating that Qin Ling's cultivation in the Thunder Demon Body was a formidable thunder-based body refinement divine art. I can sense some thunderous power within you. I assume you've also cultivated some thunder-based divine arts, but I fear you're trying to show off in front of a master. Qin Ling's voice turned violent, and the booming sound of it was so intense it nearly made the ears ring. Thunder Demon Body. Mu Chen stared in surprise at Qin Ling's dark form, then couldn't help but grin. In that case, today I'll see who's the one showing off. Mu Chen formed a seal, and radiant thunder erupted from his body. In an instant, the silver light dazzled, clearly indicating that his Thunder God body had been activated to its utmost lightning state. Though Mu Chen's form was still not as massive as Qin Ling's after activating the Thunder God body, the low, rumbling thunder sound from Mu Chen actually overshadowed the thunderous might brought by Qin Ling. Qin Ling gazed at Mu Chen, who was almost in a thunderous state, his eyes narrowing. He had sensed earlier that there was some thunder power within Mu Chen, but he hadn't expected that once unleashed, these seemingly insignificant thunder forces would erupt with such immense power. However, this alone clearly wasn't enough to make Qin Ling feel threatened. With a cold sneer, he stomped his foot, and his ghostly figure immediately appeared in front of Mu Chen. Then, he slapped down toward Mu Chen's head with a heavy strike. The sound of wind and thunder echoed, fast as lightning. Boom. Although his speed was fast, Mu Chen was even quicker. Before Qin Ling could fully unleash his strike, Mu Chen's tightly clenched fist, carrying overwhelming force, smashed into his palm. The terrifying power exploded, instantly dispersing Qin Ling's palm strike. Whoosh. But Qin Ling was no amateur. His battle experience was far beyond the ordinary. When his attack failed, his legs swiftly transformed into a streak of thunder, leaving afterimages behind as it shattered the space. His relentless kicks slammed into Mu Chen's chest one after another. Mu Chen remained unfazed, his legs also moving like thunder as he met the blows head-on. Boom, boom, boom. The speed of their attacks was so fast it was dizzying. Ordinary people could only see streaks of thunder-like afterimages passing by, followed by the deafening roar of thunder from the sky. In just a few short breaths, the two had exchanged over 100 blows, each relying solely on their physical strength. Every clash sounded like steel grinding together, and such a brutal contest made countless onlookers' eyelids twitch uncontrollably. Boom. Thunder ripped through the sky as the two figures once again collided, their fists crashing together like thunder. The thunderous force exploded from their punches, and both figures were sent flying back. Mu Chen was knocked back 100 steps, but he planted his foot firmly on the ground, stabilizing his body. His arm trembled, and his sleeve disintegrated into dust. Chen Ling, on the other hand, only staggered back a few dozen steps. No matter how it was, his third grade supreme strength still gave him a notable advantage in this head-on clash. Chen Ling crossed his fingers, gripping them tightly. His bones cracked as he looked at Mu Chen with a dark gaze, some surprise hidden deep in his eyes. He hadn't expected this young man to be able to contend with him in terms of physical combat. His Thunder Demon body had been forged over more than 10 years in the Thunder Demon Abyss to reach such a state. Yet Mu Chen's physical strength was not inferior in the slightest. This outcome was something he didn't like. He had set the trap to deprive his opponent of will to fight, but he didn't want this to end in a stalemate. A cold glint flashed through Chen Ling's eyes. He then took a deep breath and rapidly formed hand seals. In an instant, layers of thunder clouds gathered in the sky. The dark gray lightning quickly converged around him, and within mere moments, a massive thunderous figure appeared surrounding Chen Ling. Thunder Demon Avatar. As Chen Ling's low shout echoed, the thunderous figure fully materialized. Its massive hand came together and violently pulled, and with a sharp crack, a colossal, gray-black thunder whip condensed from the air. With a hiss, it tore through the void, twisting like an enraged dragon as it lashed out toward Mu Chen. Thunder Demon Whip. Mu Chen's figure shuddered. The enormous thunder whip shot out from the space, striking through his body with terrifying force. After landing a successful hit, Chen Ling didn't feel pleased. Instead, his brow furrowed in concern as he saw Mu Chen's figure slowly dissipating. It was just an afterimage. Whoosh! Chen Ling's eyes flickered, and he immediately snapped the thunder whip back, creating a dazzling arc across the sky as it shot back toward him. Boom! The space behind him was torn apart, and a dragon-shaped figure emerged. A wave of terrifying, murderous intent surged, as the great Xun'er demon pillar came crashing down toward the thunderous figure. SSS. The Thunder Demon Whip, moving with astonishing speed, arrived first, rapidly coiling around the great Xun'er demon pillar. The gray-black lightning crackled as it attempted to corrode and refine the pillar. SSS. SSS. This evil artifact isn't bad. I like it. Chen Ling licked his lips with a sinister smile, as the thunder whip of power surged forth, directly wrapping around the great Xun'er demon pillar and sending it flying back. That formidable force was so overwhelming that even Mu Chen struggled to sustain his thunder god body at its peak. After all, Chen Ling had invoked his supreme dharmakaya. Want to swallow my treasure? You might choke on it. Mu Chen's expression turned frosty at that moment. Golden light surged in his eyes, and in an instant, a massive figure, resembling a giant cast in gold, appeared in the sky. A great sun floated behind its head, exuding immense pressure. It was indeed the Great Sun Indestructible Body. The huge hand of the Great Sun Indestructible Body clamped down on the Great Xun'er Demon Pillar, instantly negating the powerful force that had been transmitted to him. No matter how much the Thunder Demon Avatar was urged, it could not budge an inch. Want it? Then take it. A cold glint flashed in Mu Chen's eyes, and the ominous aura from the Great Xun'er Demon Pillar erupted, directly pushing back the great hand of the Thunder Demon Avatar. Then, the Great Sun Indestructible Body stepped forward, golden light swirling around as if even the sky trembled. Boom! The dazzling golden light surged forth like liquid, transforming the dark great Sumudemon pillar into a radiant gold, as if it had been crafted from pure gold. This golden pillar, empowered by the terrifying strength of the great sun indestructible body, shattered the layers of thunderclouds in the sky and crashed down fiercely upon the Thunder Demon avatar. Thunder Demon Fortitude. The immense power that suddenly descended from the sky caused Chen Ling's expression to change dramatically. He could not comprehend how Mu Chun could possess such formidable strength. However, there was no time for hesitance. He immediately formed hand seals, and the Thunder Demon avatar clapped its palms together. A mass of gray-black lightning gathered, forming an enormous thunderous hand that seemed capable of propping up the very sky, towering like a mountain. Bang! Under the countless gazes, the golden pillar struck down ferociously, producing a sound that was earth-shattering, sending a chilling shockwave through the air. A violent storm of spiritual energy erupted from the sky. This commotion caused a pause in the chaotic battlefield below, as numerous gazes turned toward the scene. There, the golden pillar was slowly pressing downward, while the gigantic thunderous hand, seemingly capable of supporting heavenly mountains, was also beginning to descend. Though the rate of descent was slow, it was inexorable. Chen Ling's complexion turned increasingly grim. Crack! As Chen Ling's expression worsened, a faint cracking sound suddenly echoed. Countless powerful warriors contracted their pupils. Within the thunderous hand, tiny flecks of golden light began to burst forth, growing in brilliance. Boom! Golden light poured down like a deluge, and the peerless thunderous hand exploded into fragments. Numerous powerful figures inhaled sharply, stunned. Who would have expected that after Chen Ling summoned his Thunder Demon avatar, he would be suppressed by the seemingly weaker Mu Chun, who was only a second-grade supreme? This scene clearly exceeded Chen Ling's expectations. The golden pillar shattered the thunderous hand and crashed down, ultimately smashing against the crossed massive arms of the Thunder Demon avatar amidst countless shocked gazes. Boom! As the collision reverberated, a colossal sound resounded, and the gigantic Thunder Demon avatar plummeted from the sky, its feet collapsing 2 mountain peaks. Its towering frame, over 1,000 feet tall, sunk waist-deep into the earth, leaving twisting cracks that rapidly spread out. Countless eyes seemed to bulge in shock. In the sky, the great sun indestructible body stood tall, its majestic golden pupils gazing down at the heavily impacted Thunder Demon avatar buried in the ground. Mu Chen's mocking voice, akin to thunder, rang out. It seems the one who flaunts their skills in front of the master craftsman is someone else. Inside the Thunder Demon avatar, Chen Ling's complexion darkened. He evidently did not anticipate the supreme Dharmakaya cultivated by Mu Chun to be so powerful. The connection he felt previously had sent chills down his spine. The supreme Dharmakaya that Mu Chun cultivated was certainly extraordinary. Even with Chen Ling's insight, he couldn't discern the true origins of the great sun indestructible body. However, no matter what, it was impossible for him, Chen Ling, to admit defeat. He sneered coldly, and with a forceful slam of the giant hand of his Thunder Demon avatar onto the ground, the earth shattered instantly, sending countless rocks flying. The Thunder Demon avatar then soared back into the sky. The 2 massive supreme Dharma bodies faced each other once again. At the top of the Thunder Demon avatar's head, Chen Ling's gloomy face appeared, his cold gaze fixed on the indomitable great sun undying body, which loomed like a colossal Buddha. He gritted his teeth in frustration. What kind of supreme Dharma body has this guy cultivated? His strength is only at the 2nd grade, yet it's proving a bit difficult for my Thunder Demon avatar to handle. Chen Ling's eyes flickered with a dark glint. Chen Ling, are you telling me that you can't even defeat a 2nd-grade supreme? Just as Chen Ling's gaze wavered, a deep voice suddenly echoed from above, like a rumble from the heavens. The voice was tinged with anger. It was none other than Chen Tiangang, who was currently locked in a fierce battle with the 9 nether forces. Clearly, he had noticed the situation below, and it was one he found deeply unsatisfactory. Upon hearing Chen Tiangang's angry shout, Chen Ling's expression shifted. He shot a fierce look at Mu Chun, taking a deep breath to calm himself. His expression slowly turned cold and composed. Seeing Chen Ling's change in demeanor, Chen furrowed his brows and moved, appearing right above the great sun undying body, locking his black eyes onto it. Chen, to be able to come this far with the strength of a mere second-grade supreme is truly impressive. No wonder you've gained such renown in the great Luo heaven domain recently. Chen Ling's voice carried a deep, ominous tone as he gazed at Chen. However, there is no doubt that you will lose today. A cold glint flickered in Chen Ling's eyes. The advantage in this battle lies with us. Chen's pupils constricted slightly at those words. Chen Ling's hands quickly formed a series of lightning-fast seals, and with a sudden violent movement, his palms shot forward into the air. As his hands struck, the deep, resonating voice filled the heavens and earth. Thunder Demon Realm, Thunder Calamity, Annihilation. As Chen Ling's voice echoed across the land, Chen's body tensed, his eyes filled with wariness. He had never underestimated Chen Ling, especially since, as they had said, the enemy had the advantage of both time and place in this battle. Boom, boom. Far-off thunder rumbles faintly reverberated through the air, causing many to instinctively look up. They scanned the horizon, hoping to glimpse the source of the ominous thunder. The ground beneath their feet trembled slightly, and the tremors intensified by the second. Chen also fixed his gaze on the sky, but after a brief moment, his expression suddenly changed. He swiftly looked down at the earth, realizing with alarm that the thunderous sound seemed to be emanating from deep within the ground. "Be careful," he shouted urgently to the many forces of the great Luo heaven domain. Boom. Just as his warning rang out, the ground was violently torn apart. Countless massive dark gray lightning pillars erupted, surging like enraged dragons, clawing their way toward the sky. Boom, boom, boom. In mere moments, the dark gray lightning had spread across the entire expanse, with each pillar of lightning visible even from 1,000 miles away. It was a truly breathtaking and terrifying sight. Chen Ling stood atop the Thunder Demon Avatar, his figure silhouetted against the backdrop of the numerous dark gray lightning pillars. He appeared as a shadow of terror, his eyes exuding a chilling, murderous intent. He formed another seal with his hands, and simultaneously, the Thunder Demon Avatar's giant hands slammed together with tremendous force. Boom. As the sound echoed, the countless dark gray lightning bolts shot toward the Thunder Demon Avatar's massive hands, gathering together in a wild, chaotic frenzy. Sizzling. The terrifying lightning lights spread in all directions with a crackling sound, causing the expressions of countless powerful warriors to turn grave, as they sensed the destructive force radiating from it. This was a power capable of obliterating any third-grade supreme. It was the ultimate killing move. High above in the 9 heavens, 2 shadowy figures collided and then separated. The 9 Nether King appeared, her delicate face suddenly changing as she looked down. A cold, murderous aura swept across her features. Haha, 9 Nether King, do you really think my Thunder Demon sect is some soft fruit? This time, you'll pay for your arrogance. Chen Tiangang's voice rang out in a triumphant laugh. Humph. Although you have the power of a divine beast, you're still just a 4th-grade supreme, only able to match me at best. Now, watch that brat turn to ashes. Chen Tiangang sneered. Jiao took a deep breath of the icy air. Her narrow eyes seemed to be filled with endless dangerous light at this moment. She slowly clenched her jade-like hand, and the cold, chilling sound caused Chen Tiangang's laughter to abruptly stop. Who told you that I'm still just a 4th-grade supreme? A faint glow shot out from Jiao's beautiful eyes. She took a step forward, and an astonishing spiritual power storm erupted wildly, with the shadow of the 9 Nether Soul Sparrow expanding behind her. Her delicate body trembled slightly, and a pair of magnificent, graceful wings stretched out from her back. As her wings unfolded, it seemed as though a fallen witch from the 9 Nether was descending. 5th-grade supreme. Chen Tiangang's face dramatically changed. He never expected that Jiao would hold back until now before unleashing her true power. Though both of them were 5th-grade supremes, Jiao had already been on par with him when she was at the 4th grade. Now that her strength had surged, he knew he was no match for her. Even if you're a 5th-grade supreme, you still won't save that brat. Qin Tiangong's eyes glinted with killing intent, and then he grinned savagely. He stomped his foot, and a massive lightning shadow several thousand feet tall appeared around him. It was, of course, his Thunder Demon avatar, but it was much stronger than Qin Ling's. Qin Tiangang had realized that Jiuyo seemed to value that brat Mu Chen greatly, even willing to reveal her hidden power for him. Now that Qin Ling had launched his attack, if he could just stop Jiuyo for a moment, that brat would certainly die. And when it came to stopping Jiuyo, he was still quite confident. No matter what tricks you have, I'll make sure you watch that brat turn to ashes. Qin Tiangang laughed fiercely. Then his Thunder Demon hand swung violently toward Jiuyo. Jiuyo's delicate face grew colder. She glanced below, her silver teeth biting together. Mu Chen, just hang on a little longer, I'm coming. Her wings suddenly flapped, and a terrifying offensive power erupted like a storm. Below, Qin Ling noticed and looked toward the skies, then sneered at Mu Chen. At this point, don't expect anyone to come and save you. This time, you're definitely going to die. Qin Ling's eyes turned cold, and his hand sealed a technique. Thunder Demon Art, Thunder Calamity, Annihilation. Boom. Thunder roared through the heavens and earth, and a giant thunder sun over 1,000 feet tall slowly rose from the giant palm of his Thunder Demon avatar. The spiritual energy of the entire world became incredibly violent. The fluctuations made the heads of countless powerful experts tingle. Die. Qin Ling's face slowly turned pale as his finger pointed into the air with a cruel expression. Boom. The thunder sun erupted with a deafening thunderclap. In the next instant, it tore through the heavens and earth as a gray-black beam of light shot toward Mu Chen. That speed was simply unavoidable. Tang Bing, seeing this scene, paled. Boom. The violent thunder rang out, and Mu Chen felt a sharp pain in his skin. Yet, he did not retreat. Instead, he lifted his head, his black eyes locking onto the thunder sun. Then, he glanced at the sky. He could feel Jiuyo's energy becoming chaotic. Was it because of him? Mu Chen's hand slowly clenched, his lips tight. His eyes then closed slowly. Don't worry, Jiuyo. I won't hold you back. Mu Chen sat cross-legged at the crown of his great sun indestructible body, but his spirit was drifting toward the center of his forehead, where a great sun crystal was enveloped by a powerful force. Crack. As if sensing Mu Chen's mental focus, the great sun crystal suddenly showed tiny cracks, and brilliant golden light surged out like a storm. Bang! The dazzling golden light, bright enough to tear through the darkness of the heavens and earth, suddenly surged from the center of the undying body's forehead at that moment. Everyone felt a horrifying surge of power, as if a terrifying force was exploding from within the undying body. Mu Chen's tightly shut eyes suddenly opened wide. In that instant, as Mu Chen opened his eyes, two piercing golden beams shot out. Under the coverage of that golden light, any shadow seemed to have nowhere to hide. At the center of the undying body's forehead, a brilliant golden radiance burst forth, resembling a blinding golden sun. A terrifying power ripple emanated at that moment, drawing countless astonished gazes. Mu Chen sat cross-legged atop the undying body's head, raising his head. The enormous thunder sun was already crashing down, casting its massive shadow over the entire undying body. Before the thunder sun exploded, the power it contained had already caused the earth beneath to start collapsing. This attack, fueled by the geographical advantages of Qin Ling, was indeed terrifying. Not to mention facing a second grade supreme. Even a third grade supreme would find it difficult to decide the outcome. However, unfortunately, the opponent he faced was no ordinary one. A puff. A breath of white mist slowly exhaled from Mu Chen's mouth, and then he formed hand seals. In an instant, the golden light at the center of the undying body's forehead spread out, and his giant hand clenched fiercely. The golden light, resembling liquid, surged from the center of the undying body's forehead, gathering on the massive fist. The golden light solidified and eventually turned into a layer of golden crystal. This layer of diamond crystal enveloped the undying body's fist. The surface of the crystal was inscribed with the most primal, mystical symbols, faintly radiating a wave of indescribable energy. Supreme divine ability, single yang force. A chilling gleam suddenly shot out from Mu Chen's black eyes. His undying body's foot stepped into the sky, and with the diamond crystal-covered fist, he struck heavily at the descending thunder sun. The diamond-like fist, as if it could pierce through the void, instantly appeared beneath the thunder sun and without any hesitation, punched out. The two forces collided head-on, but unexpectedly, there was no earth-shattering sound. All the onlookers' pupils contracted sharply because they saw that the diamond-like fist had directly pierced through the thunder sun the moment they clashed. There was no obstruction, as if piercing through tofu. The flickering, crystalline diamond fist was like the hand of a god that could destroy anything in the world. It was terrifying beyond measure. Sizzle. Thick golden beams shot out like a torrential rain from the violent thunder sunday. The thunderous light above the thunder sun began to fade away at an astonishing speed. In just a few breaths, the thunder sun, which had previously seemed on the verge of annihilating the world, slowly dimmed and dissipated under the fearful gazes of countless people. A gentle breeze swept across the battlefield, bringing an eerie calmness to the air. In the sky, Chen face turned pale. He then spat out a mouthful of blood, his body swaying unsteadily as he stared in horror at the scene before him. He could not fathom how his overwhelming attack had been easily blocked by Mu Chen. This guy was only a second-grade supreme. At the top of the undying body, Mu Chen also stared at the shattered thunder sun, a hint of surprise flashing in his eyes. The power of the undying body's supreme divine ability had exceeded his expectations. As expected of the undying body, Mu Chen silently praised. According to Mantu Luo, this undying body was at least among the top 30 in the ranking of the 99 supreme law bodies. He had doubted it before, but now, as he gradually unlocked more of the undying body's power, he could truly feel its incredible strength. His gaze shifted to Chen, who looked pale, and a cold glint passed through his black eyes. He formed hand seals once more, and the giant hand covered in diamond crystals from the undying body pierced through space again, directly appearing before the thunder demon avatar and smashing down. Boom! The air exploded at that moment, and visible spiritual energy ripples violently spread out. Chen face turned ashen, but he gritted his teeth, unwilling to delay. Boom! However, the Vajra palm once again demonstrated the terrifying power it had shown earlier. With a single strike, it pierced through the thunder barrier, as if there were nothing in the world that could stop it. Truly indestructible. As the Vajra palm tore through the thunder barrier, Chen expression finally changed completely. But before he could retreat, the Vajra palm, moving at an unavoidable speed, slammed heavily down onto the thunder demon avatar. Boom! Golden light exploded, and a shockwave visible to the naked eye spread out. The thunder demon avatar trembled violently and was sent flying backward, crushing towering mountains into flat land as it went. A scar, tens of thousands of meters long, appeared on the ground. At the end of the scar, smoke and dust billowed. The thunder demon avatar was covered in cracks, and as the cracks spread, it finally reached its limit and shattered completely, turning into countless points of light. As the thunder demon avatar shattered, a figure, blood pouring out, was thrown out, crashing heavily into a mountain. His entire body seemed to have been embedded into the mountain. Swish! All eyes turned to this scene, followed by shocked and astonished gasps. Whether from the great Luo Heaven domain or the 100 Battles domain, the strong were wide-eyed, seemingly unable to believe what they had just witnessed. Chen had actually been defeated. And this was after Chen had taken advantage of the terrain. This guy, shocked gazes turned to the golden law body still standing in the sky. Everyone couldn't help but swallow, wondering how this person had managed to do it. The strong from the great Luo Heaven domain exchanged glances, and true awe began to form for Mu Chen. This young man, though not as experienced as them in the great Luo Heaven domain, had such strength. He would undoubtedly soon become a key figure in the domain, or perhaps even secure a place among the younger generation of the northern domain. Under the countless gazes, Mu Chen gave a faint smile. The great sun's indestructible body gradually dissipated, and his face paled slightly, showing signs of having used up a large amount of spiritual energy. He reached out with his hand, clenched it tightly, and the mountain exploded. A battered figure was pulled toward him through the air. Chen, covered in blood and surrounded by chaotic spiritual energy fluctuations, was clearly gravely injured and no longer had the strength to resist Mu Chen. Mu Chen grabbed him from afar, then looked up toward the battlefield far above, where the conflict was even fiercer. His voice, slightly cold, echoed across the distance. "Lord Chen, it seems your elder Chen has let you down." As his voice traveled, Chen Tiangang's spiritual energy in the sky instantly became disordered. He clearly saw that Qin Ling had been captured by Mu Chen. A furious shout followed. "You little beast, put him down. Do you still have the strength to control others?" A cold, clear voice rang out in reply. Above, Nine Nether spread her wings behind her, and her figure turned into a blur as she shot forward. Her wings, like the sharpest divine weapons, tore through the space and transformed into a storm, sweeping toward Qin Tiangang. Boom, boom. Qin Tiangang fought with all his might to resist, but Nine Nether's power had clearly surpassed his. Moreover, with Mu Chen's victory, she no longer had any concerns. Her fierce assault quickly forced Qin Tiangang into a desperate retreat. On the chaotic battlefield below, the morale of the 100 Battles domain began to plummet. It was clear to them that the situation had turned severely unfavorable. Qin Ling had been captured by Mu Chen, and Qin Tiangang was retreating step by step, clearly no match for the Nine Nether King. As the morale dropped, the various forces of the 100 Battles domain no longer dared to continue fighting. Eventually, some started to retreat, and this triggered a chain reaction. Within minutes, the once fiercely determined forces of the 100 Battles domain were now scattered, fleeing in all directions. Meanwhile, the forces from the Great Luo Heaven domain began to pursue relentlessly, and the sound of battle echoed through the heavens and earth. At this point, the outcome of the war had become painfully clear. Bastard! Above the 9 heavens, Qin Tiangang's furious and desperate roar echoed out. He collided head-on with Nine Nether in a violent clash. His body trembled and was sent flying over 1,000 meters. Mu Chen's gaze sharpened when he saw Qin Tiangang charging toward him. Without hesitation, he leaped into the air and struck with a powerful palm. The force of the blow sent Qin Ling, whom he had captured, crashing backward, blood spurting from his mouth as he was flung away. Qin Tiangang's eyes burned with hatred as he locked onto Mu Chen. He glanced at the flying Qin Ling and gritted his teeth in anger. With a sudden surge of speed, he dashed forward and grabbed Qin Ling's shoulder, retreating violently. Humph! A cold snort descended from the heavens. Suddenly, a pair of dark, obsidian wings, burning with purple flames, tore through the air like lightning, striking Qin Tiangang squarely in the back. Splat! A grotesque bloodstain was torn open, and blood sprayed wildly. Qin Tiangang's body trembled violently, but he didn't stop. He clutched Qin Ling tightly and fled, his vengeful roar echoing into the distance. Nine Nether, Mu Chen, wait for me. My Thunder Devil sect will never let this go. As his roar faded, Qin Tiangang's figure quickly disappeared into the horizon. Mu Chen exhaled a sigh of relief, watching the retreating Qin Tiangang. With the power of that man, if it had come down to a life-or-death struggle, they would have certainly paid a heavy price. But for now, driving them off was the best outcome. After all, what they wanted was the Thunder Devil sect, not Qin Tiangang's life. Swish! In the sky, Nine Nether descended, her slender, graceful figure appearing beside Mu Chen. "Are you alright?" Nine Nether asked, her bright, beautiful eyes gazing at Mu Chen with concern. Mu Chen smiled and shook his head. He then looked at the devastated land around them and glanced at the towering Thunder Demon Mountain. A grin slowly spread across his face. This Thunder Devil sect,